profit is the ultimate goal of commerce. But if the profits can't be shared with people by improving their lives, we'll find it hard to prosper in the long term.
That's why
The Chinese-led geophysical prospecting team has just set up camp in Kenya. At 6:30 a.m., team leader Luan Jun sends out the working vehicle from the base. For him, the key is to obtain accurate survey data in a safe and secure way.
the limit is got how to run security quickly. Put them on the vehicle in the morning.
The team are operating in the lower Tana River area, one of the most dangerous and unstable parts of the country. Tribal conflicts and civil war in neighboring Somalia pose a constant threat. However, none of that has deterred the global oil business, which has started to take a serious interest in the region. The Chinese team will provide data to the companies that want to explore for oil in the area.
Pick up number 1335, 1335.
Team are currently providing exploration services to an international oil company.
We're going to have a CRO meeting this morning, brothers.
Africa has a huge landmass and abundant resources, but its economies are often weak and poor. To work in the area, they need the consent of the local people. A bulldozer is being blocked by a group of villagers. The villagers hope that the team will give them some work. The situation is reported to staff back at the base. 80 kilometers away, back near the base, officials from the Kenyan government are arriving at a temporary airstrip. After an Irish company discovered oil in the area in 2013, the Kenyan government has raised its oil industry to a position of strategic importance. When Luan hears that the team are being held up, he urgently dispatches coordinator Abu to the site. Chinese companies usually hire local people as coordinators to mediate in local disputes. Abu comes from the same tribe as those blocking the team's progress. The area where the bulldozer is being held is home to 5 villages. The team has agreed to provide one work opportunity for each village, but the villagers aren't satisfied.
So I can't say any solution for now. So any idea? I have an idea, maybe we give them some opportunity if possible, if there is any opportunity. But for now, I can't promise anything. Maybe we talk tomorrow.
After 6 hours delay, the bulldozer resumes its work. Abu promises to reply to the villagers' demands as soon as possible. That evening, Luan Jun convenes the coordinators from the 3 local tribes and asks them to come up with a solution.
This area is really giving me a lot of headache. Almost every day, our cable cut by the local people. At the beginning, I hired some cable caretakers from Nakukula's village, but even more. Because too many people, I hire you as the workers, they take my cable. You didn't get a chance. You go there to line to cut, and I hire you. He'll go to line to cut. I just give them like this. Finally, I stop. Okay, I need to talk with the government.
Abu sets off back to the dispute area. He needs the help of the regional leader to solve the problem. At the same time, the final round of work recruitment is being held at the base. After strict physical examinations and security training, 17 locals finally become the latest employees of the Chinese company.
Information will be given to every person at the same time. Are we here?
Ali is a newly recruited kitchen hand. He lives close to the base. In the past, his family earned their living entirely from 50 goats and 30 cows, amounting to about 30,000 Kenyan shillings each year, or 2,000 yuan. He uses his first month's salary to buy clothes and food for his wife and children. His next plan is to buy another 2 goats. Sabtin is another new recruit. He works as a cleaner.
Today, I see it's a big day. From morning, I will done in another job. He called me to Mr. Fat Chief.
就看报纸跟我先说过他，说这个人工作很诚实。那天呢，在村里我又特意的跟他聊了一会儿，我觉得还可以的，很聪明。如果经过这个培训的话，做一个电台员应该是没有问题。
Yes.
With here as a monitor, okay? This is
I need to promote another job. Without effort, you will not make another job. Must be to get effort and your promotion going on.
我个人认为，这个当地人呢还是非常朴实的，毕竟这地方的就业机会确实是非常非常难。为了得到一份工作，改善他们的这个生活条件，即使出现这个社区阻挠我们正常生产，我也是可以理解的。
Sympathetic understanding of the local situation can only make cooperation easier to achieve. Accompanied by their local regional leader, 2 local merchants come to negotiate. One sells diesel fuel and the other is a food supplier. Both were chosen by the local community. In addition to the jobs, supplying the camp with food and fuel is another attractive opportunity brought by the Chinese team. Having gone through suitable verification, they'll get a contract worth no small sum.
99% of these people working here are local from Kenya. So actually we are very much happy with them. We are getting a lot of money. But the other benefit is if they get, they're looking for fuel also. If they get fuel from Asakam, so I think Tana River County will be very rich. So we are very much happy, actually we have that hope.
The team's management office is in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. It belongs to the Bureau of Geophysical Prospecting. The BGP has branches in over 40 countries. Almost 60% of its activities are carried out abroad, so it's truly a global business.
那完，我们只要少600个只要少600个这个节点，我们就能省1万块。
In this burgeoning East African oil center, BGP deals with oil companies from all over the world.
Copyright, I said okay.
In addition to its high price-performance ratio, BGP has another important reason it's chosen over other prospecting companies. It has a good relationship with the local communities.
I think they're very efficient, and the cooperation, the level of cooperation we get between ourselves as representatives of the client and the BGP management on the crew, the level of cooperation is really good. But the big problem is you've got 200 jobs and maybe 10,000 people looking for work, so it's a very difficult thing to do. But one thing BGP has done very well here is balance.
Oh my goodness, man.
Pain.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Abu returns to the base.
找了 DC 跟 DC 找这个 Deputy Governor 开了会了，最后达成协议呢，就是给他们增加2个名额。这2个人呢，而且他这次回来把这2个人已经带过来了。
The recruiting process is finally finished.
Because I want to ask you that question. All China people, they like to smoke.
Let me
Can
tell
you
you.
give me the evidence why they like to smoke?
If I send you to another country, let you stay there for 3 or 4 months, no chance to communicate with your wife, with your family, you will under high pressure.
And
You're
then-
in serious stress.
This is not a medical. This is like drugs, man.
Let me tell you the truth. When I go back to China, spend time with my wife and my parents, I never smoke. Totally, never.
When you come, you smoke.
Yes.
And then when you got the throat cancer, what will you do?
It's true. I agree with that. It's true.
But his acid tobacco is not good.
Yeah, that's really many times I try to get rid of it, but a little bit difficult.
Are you serious?
Yes, serious.
All right. Thank you, man.
The Chinese are working far away from home. They're in a situation of unfamiliar cooperation with the local people. Sharing and integration are the keys to a positive, long-term relationship. That's the simple idea that the Chinese hold to. Later that evening, the first full fire drill is held on the base.
The third point, people come from different places. I got in the history, these 3 tribes, you have the conflict, but that was the history. Have nothing to do with you. Who are you now? Where are you now? BGP camp. I'm BGP the employee. You are the BGP employee. We are the same. We come here for work. Work for what? Work for making money, right? Making money for what? For supporting your life, to support your family. Once we finish complete this project, all those people take your money, put their money in the pocket, go back home, right? Because you didn't get any hurt. You did not lose your finger, you did not lose your leg, no any hurt. You go back home. I believe we can finish this project very smoothly, safely, efficiently.
To get what they seek, they need first to listen to the needs of others. A globalization, it's a lesson that needs to be applied more and more. Wu Yuan is at the meeting point of 3 provinces, Jiangxi, Anhui, and Zhejiang. It's a county long famed for its tea production. Hong Peng runs the largest organic green tea export business in Wu Yuan. In May each year, he welcomes his most important client to town. His tea is sold in Europe through a German company. 1 in every 2 bags of organic green tea consumed in Europe comes from Wu Yuan. His German agent and Hong Peng have known each other for over 10 years.
我认识德国人，德国人给我的感觉，严谨的办事态度，认真的这种工作作风，一丝不苟的这种行为，我真是很佩服。所以，在我的朋友圈，我一个外号叫德国佬。
他很能站起来，他只要停下来，他就会长回来。
This time, the German intermediaries have brought a French client along.
对，机器采茶之前，就像这种标准，就这个标准。
The first thing Wu Yu people do after getting out of bed in the morning is to make tea. Chung Zupei's family has been growing tea for generations.
小孩子他们就外面打工去了，整个农村里剩下来的老人家。
Having finished their tea, Chung and his wife go to the tea fields. No fertilizer or weed killer is used in the growing of organic green tea. So although Chung's fields aren't very big, it takes a lot of time and effort to nurture the crop.
冬天还要灌，秋天还要挖了，春天还要挖一次了。说种茶的时间将近也有半年了。
这不让都能看。
这年纪大了，挑不动了是吧？这个搞个几十斤就挑起来就够了。
Today they harvest almost 100 kilograms of leaves. They take the tea straight to the village assay center.
生叶子今年是1.8块，还有价格最多不会超过3斤多块。
Tea was one of China's earliest exports to the world. Nowadays, the international tea industry has its own value chain. But the tea farmers at the bottom of the chain see little of the profits. Surrounded by mountains and streams, Wuyuan is praised as one of the most beautiful areas of countryside in China. Its unpolluted, natural environment attracts numerous visitors and also makes it a prime spot for growing organic green tea. While the French distributor is out enjoying the scenery, the critical conversation begins. The Germans are concerned about the implementation of next year's production plan. Hong Peng hopes to raise the price a little.
把握价格最牛的还是我们德国人。他如果对价格的坚持度比较坚决的话，我们也会考虑他的利益，因为他毕竟是在第一线真正去销售的。
Wuyuan has been selling green tea overseas since the 16th century. But in today's global market, Chinese tea doesn't have an obvious advantage. Hong Peng has to find a reason to make the world believe that his tea is the best.
大概这一罐在那里要卖10几块欧元，其实里面茶叶没有一点点，估计50克都不到。
The mark on these boxes is the International Fair Trade Certification Mark.
这就是公平贸易的标志，这是作为公平贸易产品在超市销售的。比如说，它这个价格，比如打个比方说，它如果在超市里卖6块欧元的话，那可能它会额外的加上0.5或者多少，换算成一个数字。买的人他会除了价格以外，再另外付一笔钱，就是同时它的价格组成有2个价格。
The additional price paid for fair trade goods is meant to be a premium paid directly to farmers. In Europe and America, fair trade has been in operation as a socio-business scheme for over 20 years. Mainstream products like chocolate, coffee, and tea with a fair trade mark have become popular with consumers, where their quality matches the alternatives. Hong Peng found that the fair trade mark was the key to open the door to a new market. In 1998, he submitted his application to the Fair Trade International Organization.
它里面有好几百条，一条一条的细节，它细到什么程度？你这个男工和女工的劳动报酬是否相同？是不是有洗澡的地方？是不是卫生间？是不是符合标准？是不是有使用童工的现象？等等。
As the first applicant from China, Hong Peng came across a problem. To guarantee the correct use of its subsidy, the Fair Trade International Organization demands that the farmers must have an independent democratic organization.
我们最后就是他到总部提交的第一次委员会讨论，婺源大山山有机茶农协会能不能被批准的时候，第一次讨论是被拒绝的。他告诉他不相信中国能有农民有这样的自主权，有达到这个要求，好像持怀疑态度了。
The application made in 1998 failed. Hong Peng was shut out of his market. Last year's fair trade subsidy is paid to the Tea Farmers Association. As a branch representative, Cheng Zupei discusses how to use the subsidy with the other farmers.
我们这个村庄是养水交接、养水会河的一个地方，老百姓就是住在银河里。
Cheng suggests using the money to fix lamps along the riverbanks. Someone suggests building an incinerator, and someone else thinks the money should be used to subsidize the price of tea.
个人的想法跟提出，按照自己的思路去解，这是一种民主。
要是到不来没了。
It took Hong Peng another 2 years to meet the fair trade criteria.
这个我们当时也是动了很多脑筋，最后我们发现我们中国当时有一部法律叫《村民委员会自治法》，我们后来就把这个其中有一个章程，就关于村民委员会的主任是由农民直接选举的，不是上级委派的，就这一个关键点。所以这个作为西方来说，它很敏感，这个直接选举的村委会主任，他认为是很客观的。
As a general concept, fair trade is still a dream far beyond the reach of many in the tea industry, but the values can still be followed in principle. Every winter, a fair trade inspector comes to Hong Peng's company. The inspector comes to make sure that the tea farmers are benefiting and that the overseas consumers can enjoy high-quality products. This is how the fairness concept benefits both sides.
他每年的年度检查，如果我们不认真去做的话，你可能就会受到警告，甚至会提你认真过不了关。所以这些反而促进了我们对自己从严要求。那就你转告他，这一次来我们没有照应好他，这是一个；第二个，欢迎下一次再尽可能还是他来。
It seems like a contract between the tea farmers and the drinkers.
再见。
But for a merchant like Hong Peng, the value of fair trade is seen in an increase in sales. The subsidy is waiting to be used. After much discussion, the tea farmers decide to invest the money in education. In rural China, education is the key for people to change their destiny. For the children of these, maybe this sort of encouragement embodies the real meaning of fairness. In December 2013, the 27th Southeast Asian Games took place in Myanmar.
The 7th SEA Game will be given by His Excellency Wudang.
In 2011, Myanmar ended a 50-year period of military rule. The long isolated country was keen to show off a new image to the world by hosting the event. It's an address that's not easy to find on a map. Myanmar's national diesel factory is hidden deep in the forest. The country's vice president, Yu Ni-Yan-Chung, is attending a ceremony to mark the commencement of the third stage of the factory's development. The project leader is Chinese businessman Lu Jianya.
常的建设的时候啊，这个国家呢还不是选举出来的总统，他们还是完全从国家的面对这个国家需要这样大功率的柴油机。
At the time, China was one of the few countries which maintained economic relations with Myanmar. Liu Jianye was involved in the governmental project on an occasional basis. Now the market has opened up, and Liu wants to try his luck in Myanmar's broader business landscape.
非常感谢。
Yangon is the largest city in Myanmar. Strangers may be alarmed at traffic. Cars are driven on the right, but the steering wheel is also set on the right. Meanwhile, buses with the steering wheel on the left ply their way along the same roads. License plates use both traditional characters of Myanmar and Arabic numerals. A more orderly system is yet to be established, but the entrepreneurs who will make it happen are already here. Real Link is a real estate agency, mainly serving ethnic Chinese.
风险任何时候都有，做任何生意都有风险，可能也是第一批倒下的那批人吧，因为开市场很难嘛。
Starting with house leasing, the agency has expanded its business to land sales.
因为像我们之前，我是在台湾也是在做这一块的。其实台湾在做这一块已经濒临在饱和，可是只有在缅甸，它是有一个土匪起。
You have a land to sell, and then you want to work with a as a joint venture. So I think it's okay. Two things is okay.
因为仰光县生意好做，不只是国外的人进来，其他2线、3线的城市，所以你说这些开发出来的这些楼盘，到目前为止，据我所知啊，还没有卖不出去的。
Myanmar is seen as the last virgin territory for commercial in Asia. The prices of hotels and high-end housing are skyrocketing. So Liu Jianye has decided he wants to enter the Yangon real estate market. Liu Gordong has lived in Myanmar for over a decade. He owns a promising piece of land.
这个地方相当于这个上海的东方明珠。 对面是陆家嘴，现在那个位置。
他这个现在的地价是相当于多少钱呢？
现在地价是个1英亩差不多是200万到300万美金，今天涨了30倍。原来1块地皮是1万美金，现在30万，还在涨，还在涨。我看。
在这个地方的这个楼价是多少钱呢？
楼价现在没有估价，因为它没盖全是空地啊。
一共买下多少亩地？
Liu's ambition is to build a landmark building to mark the beginning of Myanmar's modern development. Over 80% of the people in Myanmar are Buddhists. The ingress of the commercial tide is quickly turning the once specific parts of this land into a whirlpool of hustle and bustle. Visa, MasterCard, and China Union Pay have all arrived in short order. On the one hand, mobile phone numbers are in short supply, with eye-watering prices paid to secure one. On the other hand, a mobile payment system is already accessible. Northern Myanmar has rarely enjoyed much peace. Military conflict between local ethnic groups and the central government has raged for decades. Meanwhile, in the capital, opposition parties had threatened to boycott the Southeast Asian Games unless amendments were made to the Constitution regarding the 2015 elections. Every new market masks multitudes of unexpected risk.
Hello, Mr. Yu. How are you?
This
is my
Liu Jianye is not put off by risk. He has found another piece of land in the city center which interests him. With more than 20 years' experience of doing business overseas, he knows about raising the spirit of adventure.
但是他觉得
你是上帝派来的，与他合作的，上帝派来的，他非常对我们这个项目非常是充满了信心。
虽然我不像麦克牛牛一样这么信奉上帝，但是对上帝我也是敬畏的。我们有这一次合作的机会，这是你说的，是命运，是上帝的安排，才叫我们这么快的结合到一块来做这么一个好的建筑。谢谢，谢谢。
尝一下这个。
He was this one.
Mike's father was Myanmar's first Chief Justice after it declared independence from Britain. When in 1962, the country was taken over by the military, the family moved to Australia. Land in the city center is very scarce. Lou is determined to sniff some out. But he has competition from Korean and Japanese developers as well. At the end of military rule, Yangon Municipal Administrative Committee adopted a new development plan.
For now, existing population is over 5 million, and in 2040, there will be over 10 million. So as a mega city, we have many challenges to face in coming 20 and 30 years.
It's a policy that promises to release huge profits, raising expectations across the globe.
他的土地产权非常明显，老百姓自己手上的地那就是自己的。这个市场配置资源是非常有力量的。你好，介绍一下。
Mike and his family have chosen to celebrate their newfound good fortune in a banquet with Lou. If everything goes to plan, a new landmark building will stand in the center of Yangon in just 4 years' time. The day before he returns to China, Lou visits an old friend at a shipyard. 10 years ago, his connection to Myanmar began here.
船厂变化很大，比原来繁荣的多了。原来的时候，他修的船就是国家的这个船。现在呢，包括这个新加坡人、马来西亚人，他们的船呢也都来这个地方修。
Okay. We're here to explore business opportunities and notwithstanding the prices.
Not long after Lou left Myanmar, the deal he had made for Mike's land fell through. It's only the sharpest operators who can always stay ahead of the game. The Chinese are still waiting for their chances. People who find hope in seemingly impossible circumstances always have the ability to change the world in seemingly impossible ways. Early in the morning, the villagers of Rendurma head to work on the west side of their village. At 8:30, the day's work begins. Yak wool is cleaned and woven into thread. This will then be made into scarves in a variety of sizes and patterns, which will adorn displays in some of the world's most fashionable shopping malls. The village is located in the Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture of southern Gansu province at an altitude of 3,200 meters. The village consists of 200 Tibetan households with 6,000 yaks and 20,000 sheep between them.
Initially, I found it really kind of authentic and beautiful, and I thought, wow, this is an escape from the modern way of life.
Deichen Yesha is in charge of the workshop. Her mother, Kim Yesha, is American and is a master of textile weaving and design. Their workshop is called Norla. In Tibetan, this means God of Wealth. This is also what the herdsmen call their yaks.
When we first had this idea, it was quite crazy to a lot of people. Nobody believed us. We thought that if we use this money and put it into a business that can create more employment, then eventually there would be returns.
The villagers here had lived quiet and isolated lives for generations. Many of them have never been out of the village. Up to 2006, they were entirely dependent on herding for their livelihoods. That was before Dei-chen and her mother arrived.
In the old days, people just lived off what they had, and now they want more things, especially the young people. They all want TVs, motorbikes, or even cars. If you just survive on your animals, then it doesn't provide that.
Sang Ji was the first herdsman that Dei-chen got to know. Having missed out on education, Sang Ji had to begin learning from scratch. Now he's the workshop's production supervisor. Sang Ji has to find out where the problem lies. Inspecting products is Sang Ji's responsibility. But all the workers are his fellow villagers, so he has to take their self-esteem into consideration. The workers have products below 2%. The clients are always fastidious, but Dei-chen prefers to emphasize her trust and tolerance.
Because I think for a project like that to be successful, you have to have a lot of trust between yourself and the people you work with.
The workshop provides a free breakfast and lunch to its staff. The 120 employees are paid as soon as they start training. Unlike other enterprises, Norlao was always intended to be run as a not-for-profit business.
Mainly it's to provide the nomads a way to be in touch with the modern world, and then to provide a kind of a source of livelihood that depends on a local raw material.
Bringing the herdsmen into the modern world while maintaining their traditions is the aim. Companies like this are sometimes labeled social companies.
Because we believe more in the business than in the NGO, I believe that a business is more sustainable, really forces you to make sure that you're selling your products, and then in turn you have to make sure that your employees are working hard enough and reaching levels.
1:30 p.m. is the designated time for the office staff to receive training. Their lecturer is Dao Ji, who is in charge of foreign sales. Today they will learn the proper nouns used in the textile industry. When doing business with the world, from the remote grassland plateau, everyone has to change. 28-year-old Dao Ji isn't a local. He studied English in Wudang Monastery for 2 years and has also studied Tibetan in Shanghai for 3. He came here after graduating when the workshop had just been established.
下班以后，我大多数时间都在花在看书啊，然后就看电影，就这两个。摘毛，我特别喜欢。我觉得我这个工作每天都不一样，学了不断的新的东西。真的，这些是我的最重要的一个老师，我觉得。对，我对一个老师是那个东库的那个叔叔嘛，就我知道所有的东西，大多数跟那两个人传过来的。
The famous Wudang Monastery was built in the 17th century and is situated in Shahe County, 200 kilometers from Rendurma. For the herdsmen nearby, it's a place for both pilgrimage and shopping for life's necessities. When Deichen first came to Rendurma, there was only a single narrow muddy track leading to the village. Aged 23, she thought that as soon as she had collected the yak wool her mother needed to make scarves, her work would be done. She never imagined she'd end up living here. Three years on, she married a Tibetan man, and they have 2 daughters together. Today, Dei Chen and her husband are going to a cousin's home to photograph some new products.
We're trying to just in one picture to tell them this is the people that make this product. That's why it's so original, because it's not anywhere that you have this kind of livelihood and these kind of surroundings.
Weather on the high grasslands is unpredictable, and a storm soon blows in.
Especially when it's local holidays and everybody usually goes off with their own families. And then it's times that I'm reminded that my own family isn't here. So
Like the weather on the plateau, the market in which they operate is ever-changing as well. Once a year, Norla's French general agents visit the village to discuss the coming year's purchases. As Norla's chief designer, Kim Yasha stays here for at least 1 month every year. During this time, she'll develop ranges of scarves following the current international trends.
of course, show where these products come from, the story behind the products, but that's just an introduction. In the end, it's a real rat race out there. You can't just like feed them on sentimentality.
Yes, Balmain.
The first one.
The business is expanding, and this creates new pressures. Orders come in together, leaving their deadlines too close to each other. When everything is done by hand, sometimes there just aren't enough hands to go around. And the company can find itself short-handed without warning. De Hala used to be the workshop's stockkeeper, and he just left.
Talikas nara cerca gajina tumne kara cerca range chesguna ta yogundi sana yu dura tamanu the range cerca chesguna da chandi ni zona ta ta saglik cerca lag chesga ta da ti zatena tumas rando samchidre.
And that I don't take personally. I mean, what I'm not saying upset, but it's the way you leave. If you respect our rule, tell us a month earlier, then it's okay.
Not everyone can take to the 9-to-5 routine. Rising meat prices also make herding a more attractive option once again. The employees have the right to live their own lives, but production has to go on regardless. The villagers are used to a free rolling lifestyle, and now they're feeling the pressure. Rumors are starting to spread that Day Chen and her family are really only in it for the money.
There's been some talk in the village of certain people. That's kind of hurtful to me because it's not only an issue of money. We've invested a lot in this as a family, but also it's my entire young adult life has been spent here. And this is what my mom is always telling me also, is reminding me that we're not trying to do this to get their appreciation. We're just doing it because we feel it's the right thing to do. But I'm learning how to deal with it and not take things personally, and so that's the good thing when you get older. Unless you really need it, okay? Do you need it? Because now your computer's on, my computer's on the computer.
Every step of the way takes perseverance. Since their first yak wool scarf a decade ago, Norla now produces over 10,000 scarves a year. It has become part of the village. To help the herdsmen enjoy the value they've created for themselves, the Norla workshop is trying to marry tradition with modernity, the power of commerce with a need for social justice.
如果你说我是有什么高尚的东西，不是，其实我更考虑长远。你不放水养鱼，我这个生意不可能长久的做下去。这个食道还有生的吧？还有生的，猪场。
Business bears the bottomless desires and wisdom of humankind.
现在呢，我是盼着缅甸改革的深度、改革的速度再快一点，会给我们带来的合作的机会会更好。
Desire drives us forward, and wisdom teaches us how to advance.
It's basically a business with a strong foundation. It's for the future. Maybe it's not for my generation, but it's something that I'm trying to build for the kids of my generation.
Profit for the future is in a shared creative future between China and the world.